Welcome to our coffee lecture series on infrastructures and tools of research data management. I warmly welcome Martin Reisacher. He is here in the library responsible for the digitalization coordination. His position brings together the divisions of IT, historical collection, and research data management. Today, he gives us an introduction to OpenRefine. OpenRefine is an open source application for data cleanup and transformation to other formats. So I hand over to you, Martin.
Thanks, Iris. Yes, I want to present you OpenRefine today, a free open source powerful tool for working with messy data. I want to give you a quick insight into its main functionalities, how you can explore data with OpenRefine, how you can clean and transform messy data, and how you can reconcile and enrich your data. But first, a few general remarks. OpenRefine is already around quite a long time. Since 2010, it makes data people happy. It started as a Freebase or Google project. At the beginning, it was called Google Refine. But as so many Google projects, it ended at the graveyard of Google projects. But it continued as an open source community project. It was slumbering maybe the next years a little bit, not because it wasn't used, it was used, but on the technical side, there was no further development. But I would say in the last 5 years, there was again a lot of movement, especially because of its integration with Wikidata. So in 2019, it won the Wikidata Con Award. I will show you the integration afterwards. And since a few years, it gets fundings from associations from, for example, Code for Science and Society, which is, fun fact, funded by Zuckerberg or Facebook. So it's used by science, libraries, data journalists. There are a lot of tutorials on the net. In general, it's a desktop application that's running in your browser. So that means your data and the application stays on your computer. So you don't have to worry about that. It's easy to install. It has kind of, I'll show you afterwards, a spreadsheet Excel-like interface, but with a lot of specific functionalities around data processing and cleaning. And it's more accessible than when you have to write your own code to enrich or to clean your data. And a lot of stuff goes quite fast with OpenRefine. So it gives you a good semi-automatic approach to cleanse and enrich your data, where you can decide yourself when you want to use some algorithm or when you want to do things manually. But the first question is, how do we get our data into OpenRefine? OpenRefine supports a lot of different forms of data: CSV, Excel, XML, JSON. And yeah, there are always different kind of flavors. So you can also define how this data shall be passed to a spreadsheet form within OpenRefine. Beginning, I was thinking as a data set, I will use some kind of research data, but at the end I decided I might focus on something which you could maybe really reuse in one of your next coffee breaks, on our comic book collection, which we have in the library. So a shift from your focus on our scientific literature to leisure and procrastination. But now let's look how we can get this data into OpenRefine. Therefore, I will open the application. As I told you before, it's running in the browser. I prepared some data, our comic collection. I'll import the data now. I don't want to go into the details how you can pass the data. I import here a JSON file. I'll create the project. And now we can see, okay, the columns, they are not really named in a good way. Therefore, I will rename them. As you can see, it's maybe not the Apple-like interface. The functionalities for data cleaning, enrichment, they are hidden behind those arrows. And so we'll rename this column. Let's call it topic. But if I would do that now for all the columns, I think the coffee lecture would be over. So here comes the first great OpenRefine feature. You have a undo and redo tab where you see what you've done, and it records all the things you do in the interface and stores them as machine readable data. And so you can extract that and reapply it. So I already did that before, renaming the columns and ordering them. So I'll copy now this data and apply it to the camera, to the data set. As you see, everything is named now better, and yes. And here comes the next nice concept of OpenRefine. It's not only based on rows, but also on records. What does that mean? From Excel, you most of the time know rows. So we have like 9,493 rows. But for example, one of the comic books, they can have different topics. So when we want to explore that data, when we want to process this, we want that OpenRefine knows those lines belong together. And as you can see, when we switch to rows, OpenRefine knows that those are different record. But now let's explore the data. Let's, for example, have a look at the topics for place. Let's create the text facet where we can explore the values. Let's look for the most common values. Okay, most of our comics books are about the US, Switzerland, Germany. Now let's say we want to have a look at, there's something about Basel. And we can see there is some stuff about history of Basel, and there's even a comic book about the foundation of the University of Basel. But we are here in a science coffee talk, so let's have a look at the topics. Maybe there's also some interesting comic books about science. Let's create now a text filter. We are switching now to row mode because we want to explore the topics. Let's, for example, look for Wissenschaft. Here we have library science. Let's include this one. Wissenschaftlerin. Let's include this one. Let's look for science. Okay, we remove the text filter so we see everything again, what we've chosen. And now in the row mode, we don't see the title. So let's switch back to record mode. Now we see we have one comic book, How to Fake a Moon Landing, exploring the myths of science denial, or one about bad luck for science. Maybe about, if your data doesn't do what it should do, or another one about comics and critical librarianship. So that one might be for us. But that was just a quick insight how you can explore data with different kind of facets. They are really, really powerful. But now let's focus a little bit on cleaning data. Let's have a look at the publisher facet. I'll create the text facet again. What are the most common values? We have here Carlsen, but we also have 60 time Carlsen comics. I think the two belong together. So let's edit this here, apply. And as you see, we mass edited 60 cells just with one click. They are all now here. But it would be great if there would be also some automatic processes for cleaning our data. So within the menu, within edit cells, we have a cluster and edit functionality, which provides a lot of different algorithms, which you can even fine tune to cluster your data. As you see, those are more or less the same entries. So let's select all. You can also fine tune this by looking if they really belong together, but let's now say merge, select and close. And with a few clicks, we edited 543 cells. So there are some really powerful tools. I only showed you a few for how you can cleanse your data, because I want to come now to the possibility how you can enrich your data, because I think this one is really, really interesting. In combination with Wikidata, we have like, let's see which comic book series we have. As you can see, Asterix, okay, Tintin. So let's now try to reconcile this data with Wikidata and add more columns from Wikidata informations. So we have here a reconcile menu. We start reconciling. The Wikidata reconciliation endpoint is integrated out of the box. And as you might know, Wikidata is working with entities, and this reconciliation endpoint is so intelligent. He tells us, I just looked through the first entries and I have the impression that you want to reconcile against comic book series. That sounds good. So let's start reconciling. That might not take a little bit of time. Therefore, I've already prepared that in another tab. You see here it is blue now, and I get a flyout if I use my mouse with an image, a short description. And if I click on it, I end in Wikidata. And in Wikidata, you can see all the properties that exist here. We can also add them to our table. For example, it would be interesting, when did a comic book series start? So the start date of a comic book series. I think we still have to wait a little bit here until our reconciliation process is finished. As soon as it is finished, this will turn blue. A few more seconds. And yes, it's here now. And what we can do now is edit columns, add columns from reconciled values. And it proposes again a few properties which we can add. For example, we can add the start time about which we talked before. Or we can also, we have an autocomplete here for, there are thousands of properties in Wikidata. We can, for example, also add a short description. So let's add this data now to our table. That would also take a few seconds now. That's faster. And afterwards, we can apply new filters to the data which we've added now. For example, we'll make one, for example, a timeline facet now. Let's remove those. So let's see, we are only interested in comic books that started before 1945. So that would be like Tintin, Inspiro, and Fantasio. Or we can say, okay, now let's have a look which ones are in the 50s or 60s. So there would, for example, be Johann and Pfiffikus. No idea what that is, but it's a Belgian comic by Payo. And if I click here, I get the information from Wikidata. One more click, I have the Wikipedia article. So that's really powerful to get data, additional data to your list, which might be useful for analyzing, which might give you more information about your data. Yes, and in the end, you also have a lot of export functionalities where you can export your data in different formats. Yes. So I think that was just like a quick introduction into OpenRefine, where I wanted to show you the different functionalities which you have. Yes, and I think the last slide is only to show you OpenRefine can be part of a bigger workflow where you can also use other reconciliation endpoints that already exist, where you can push data to OpenRefine, extract data if you are interested in a more technical way. It can be a really powerful tool within your data pipeline for semi-automatic data processing. And I hope I didn't only focus your interest on our comic book collection, but also a little bit on OpenRefine. And if you are interested, a good approach is just to use a quick Google search with OpenRefine tutorial, your discipline. You'll find a lot of stuff, or feel free to contact me. I'm glad to help. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Martin, for this great overview and insight into OpenRefine. Maybe we will open the floor now for questions. Questions can be posted in the FAQ or F&A section. We do not have opened the chat, but the F&A. So if there are any questions, please put them now in the FAQ or F&A. We will wait just some seconds because writing takes usually a little bit of time, but feel free to pose your questions. So I do not see any questions. Since there are no questions, I think we will close this session. Thank you very much again, Martin. And yeah,
It was
have
a
a nice
pleasure.
day.
You
Have a
too.
nice day. Bye.
Bye.